I'd like to hand you over to Felicia Dickinson, the Assistant of Office at Brooklyn Law School, and Diane, who is the Director of International LLM Programs. Over to you guys. We'll look forward to seeing you at the Q&A at the end.
We are absolutely delighted to see you here today across many oceans, or maybe not across a lot of them. We are Brooklyn Law School, and we're really proud of it. As you can see from the slide, I'm Diane Edelman, the Director of International Programs. With me is a wonderful Felicia Dickerson, who coordinates a tremendous amount of our program. And we love having international students here for our LLM program, as well as for exchange programs, and are delighted to talk with you today about where we are and what we do, and answer questions that you may have. So first of all, take a look. As you can see from our backdrop, both of our backdrops are the front of the law school, which is a beautiful plaza where, when the weather is nice, you can hang out with your friends and just relax between classes. We're a private law school, as you can see, founded more than 100 years ago. We have a spectacular library here. And as you can see, all kinds of other great facilities. But I have to say, I was a student here many years ago. I'm a proud alum. And the library here now is very cool and hip and comfortable, and much nicer than the one that I experienced back a number of years ago. We're near a great area. The funny part is the name is Dumbo. It stands for Down Under the Manhattan Bridge Overpass, which is pretty close to the famous Brooklyn Bridge as well. But Dumbo and downtown Brooklyn have all kinds of very cool eating places and shopping places and places just to spend time. We are literally steps from important legal locations. The federal courthouse for the U.S. federal courts, the state courthouses, all kinds of government agencies, legal service organizations, and prosecutors' offices. We're in Brooklyn, we're not in Manhattan, but you know what? We are less than 10 minutes from Lower Manhattan. You just hop on a subway next door to the law school, and the first stop takes you right into Manhattan. So let's talk a little bit about our program. To be eligible to be in our LLM program, you need to have a first degree in law from an accredited foreign university that's substantially like a law degree here. And we recognize that your law degree may well be an undergraduate type degree, and that's fine. As you know, it's no problem at all. Most people coming here have the undergraduate law degree from abroad. And hopefully you are admitted abroad, but you just only really need to have the qualifications to be admitted abroad in the meantime. If you earned by correspondence, if you've earned your degree by correspondence or distance, you may or may not be eligible for admission. So that's something we have to explore further.
So in terms of the application, just to go over the what the application packet consists of, it will be all application and materials will be submitted through the LSAC system. So you're going to have our application. We'll be expecting transcripts from all your previous education, the law degree and any other degrees or certificates that you've received. A personal statement that just gives us an idea. Like I try to tell students, the personal statement is an excellent way to tell us something about yourself in addition to what your transcripts and your resume or CV say about you. It can be telling us what is inspiring you to pursue an LLM degree, particular areas of law that you're interested in, and just what's motivating you to take this next step. So it's really, I discourage you from reiterating what is elsewhere in the application. This is a place to tell us something extra about yourself. Again, you would also include your resume or CV, a minimum of 2 letters of recommendation. Those should be from prior faculty or employers, colleagues who can testify to your work ethic, your academic prowess, and we require proof of English proficiency, and that's usually in the form of a test, test scores, or if your previous education was in English language, you can request a waiver. The request for the waiver would be on the application form. It will ask you if you wish to waive, if you've taken an English proficiency test, if you haven't and you wish to waive, and then you must explain why you wish to waive. It's to our discretion whether to grant that waiver or not. We may also request an interview or some proof of some writing sample from you as well, just to gauge where you are in your language skills. In terms of the application, we have rolling admissions. So our admissions for the next academic year started at September 1st, and there is no deadline. We do suggest that if you are going to be applying for a visa, mainly if you're applying for a visa, because that timeline can take a while depending on where you're applying from, that you get your full application in by June 1st. The other motivation for doing that is that registration for courses begins in mid-June. So you want to be admitted by that time and getting access to the courses that you really want to take during that year that you're enrolled. So again, there is no deadline, but this June 1st is a suggestion just to be able to meet other deadlines in terms of courses and housing and those sort of things. So this is just a time, sort of the process. So you're going to submit your application through LSAC. That includes the letters of recommendation, transcripts, and CV and all that. Once your application is completed, all things have been submitted, it will let us know that it's ready to review. Our admissions committee will review that. If we are choosing to admit you, you will receive an admissions letter via email. Most of those letters will include a scholarship offer. So in terms of scholarship, you should just know that it's not a separate application. Its merit scholarships are considered based on your application materials, and the offer will come in the admission letter. You do not have to submit a separate application for that. What in the admission letter, it will also advise you about making a seat deposit, which is our indication that you're committed to coming to Brooklyn Law School. It usually gives you a 2-week timeline. Then if you need to apply for a student visa, you will be submitting, you will hear from me directly because I deal with all the visa issues. So we'll be asking you for documentation so that we can issue you a form I-20 so that you can then submit your visa application and prepare for your interview. If you're applying, so we'll get into housing later, but if LLM students are guaranteed housing in our facilities, if they meet the housing application deadline, which is May 1st, which is another incentive to get your application in early. If you do not meet that May 1st housing application deadline, you can still submit the application, but you will be on a wait list, and it'll be on a first come, first serve availability basis. Again, I mentioned course registration is in mid-June. So again, reason to get your applications in early. Then there'll be other things preparing for the start of the school semester. So the semester will start in late August. So that in addition to the visa applications, you will be, all students must have health insurance. You will have to show some proof of some vaccinations. Those are state requirements. And so we will let you know what those are. And orientation will take place the week before the start of classes. So it will be like the 3rd week of August. And the semester will begin usually that last week of August.
Well, let me just take off from the last slide and say that orientation is really a great week. It's actually a week before the JD students start. And it begins with a very exciting convocation ceremony taking place in the federal courthouse and featuring words from our dean, from usually one of the federal judges, an alumnus, and a faculty member. It's very joyful, and all the JDs are here. So it is one full courtroom with a beautiful reception afterward. The next 3 days, we are strictly for you. We have orientation programs to guide you not only with bar exam related information, but with all kinds of essential living types of hints, as well as introduction to some of the classes, and sitting in on a sample class, which is a really great way to get used to what will be expected of you. As you can see here, we have 2 programs that you're eligible for. One is full-time, in which you complete your LLM in 1 academic year from August till May or the beginning of June. The part-time program permits you to complete your degree in 3 or 4 semesters, and there's different requirements for that we can talk to you about. So, but you must finish within 24 months from the date that you start at the law school. And as I mentioned, it's 24 credits. There are only 2 required courses: Fundamentals of American Law, which I am delighted to teach, and that's really learning how the U.S. legal system works. But it's not just us teaching you, it's you sharing what goes on in your legal system with us as well. We can really learn a lot from one another, and the discussions are really enjoyable. The other is Legal Research and Writing for LLM students. This is a required course for all JD students separately, but it's required in pretty much every law school for LLM students, in which you focus on really just the style, the content, and the research related to doing legal analysis and writing. Here, when you practice here, as I'm sure in your home countries as well, you have to do all kinds of different writing for your clients, writing for the attorneys that you report to, writing for the court or for opposing parties in litigation or parties you're negotiating with in transactions. And so we have a course that concentrates in that. And we also have some tutoring available for students who wish to have that as well. And we have 3 specializations. So as I mentioned before, you're required to take 24 credits of courses for your degree. But you can concentrate in business law, refugee and immigration law, or IP, intellectual property law. Now, as you can see, these take up 10 to 15 credits, but that still leaves you time and space for taking other courses. Now, I'm going to connect this in a moment. A third course that you have to take if you're taking the New York Bar is a professional responsibility or ethics course, and you can take that either semester. Those other 2 courses on the previous slide are offered in the fall only. And now you see that you have to take 6 credits in other courses tested on the New York Bar. Now, you have an enormous amount of choice there. You can take courses that deal with all kinds of commercial law, for example, banking, payment systems, secured transactions, and many more courses. You can take constitutional law, civil procedure. You can take all kinds of criminal law and evidence courses, family law, religion in the Constitution. There are just so many courses you can take. So really, even if you do a specialty, you have plenty of room to take a variety of courses that interest you as well. And now the New York bar requirements. As you can see, one of the most important things for you to do is to examine the New York State Board of Law Examiners website. And you'll see it's very long and detailed, but essentially it tells you what you need to do if you want to take the New York Bar at the end of your LLM program. And the process of getting you ready for that actually starts in the fall when you arrive here, because you start to file documents with New York to be eligible to take the bar the following summer. And they're all listed here. And Felicia, if you want to elaborate on them,
yeah.
Please.
So, I mean, this is a list of things that you will be doing during the course of your academic year to prepare if you're planning to sit for the New York bar exam. But what I want to highlight here is number 2, which is the online foreign evaluation. That is something. So if you're going to do the LLM in 1 year and you're graduating in May, and you have the option of doing the July bar exam or February. If you were planning to do the July bar exam, you would want to be applying for this online foreign evaluation by October 1st of your first semester. So we will be covering like this process in orientation, but you can go to the Board of Law Examiners website now and look up foreign legal education. And you can actually, as you're doing the LLM application for the program, you can also be starting the process for the online foreign evaluation. You can't do that too early because it takes a while, which is why the deadline is October 1st for the July exam. So they're going to be evaluating your credentials for your first degree of law to determine whether you're eligible to sit for the New York bar exam. So as I said, we will cover this process at orientation, but it does not hurt to review it beforehand, and especially because you're going to be requesting transcripts from your prior schools, and sometimes depending on where you're coming from, that may be a long process. So you want to get started early. So I will encourage you to check that out. The only other thing I will say is sometimes it can seem a little daunting when you're saying you have 24 credits, you have 2 semesters, and you want to do a specialization and you want to prepare for the bar exam. I can tell you it is possible. Students do it successfully. It's just really a matter of planning and planning out what you're going to be taking in the fall semester, what you're going to take in spring, and maybe having some leeway and some for the unexpected. For example, if a class is full and you can't get in, to have a plan A and a plan B. But what will happen is we will send you the course schedule for the fall and the tentative schedule for the spring, and you can sort of map out your plan and then have also like some plan B. If I can't get this class, what's another alternative that I can take? And we can also advise you on that. But I just want to let you know it is possible to do it all in 2 semesters.
Okay, so experiential learning is really one of the most popular parts of your education here. And we have 2 types. One are clinics, which are supervised and taught by professors at the law school. And they're taught in a whole variety of areas. Immigration law is a very popular one, for example, but there are so many of them. And when you look at our website, you can see the great variety. Externships, on the other hand, is when you go out to, and with internships, with clinics, you will be speaking with and working with real clients. Externships, you work outside the law school with government agencies and other organizations, and you're supervised at the externship by an attorney or attorneys in that office. And also there's some supervision back here at the law school as well. There are simulation courses as well, trial advocacy, contract drafting courses, and others that you might want to take where you're actually doing legal work. Those are ones which are for fictitious clients, but you're still engaging in preparing kinds of documents that you need to for real clients. And there are all sorts of public service and pro bono opportunities at the law school. This school is very well known for its public interest and public service work. And a look at the law school and some of the links and things that are available to you will show you that broad variety. We'll also be showing you a slide about student organizations, and the list practically doesn't fit on the slide because there are so many opportunities.
The other experiential thing here is public service and pro bono. So there are lots of opportunities to gain experience working with clients and with nonprofit and organizations with humanitarian purposes. in the first week of classes, there will be a pro bono clinic and fair, and you can find out all the various opportunities that are available. And also, if you're planning to take the New York bar, there's a 50-hour pro bono requirement. So you can be using one of these options to get those 50 hours in before you graduate.
And if you do that, you get class credit as well. So moving on to estimated costs. First of all, just to reemphasize to you that our academic year starts only in August. We don't have a January start. And so this gives you an idea of what the costs are living on your own or living with parents and families, since some of you may be here in the New York area already. One of the other things we wanted to mention to you again is scholarships. As Felicia mentioned earlier, this is something where we consider each application that comes in for scholarship funding.
And so those are just merit scholarships. I also encourage you to research other scholarships that are available through organizations, through your government agencies, to see what other opportunities there are for funding resources. So as I mentioned before, I just want to, I'm going to let Diane tell you specifically about housing because she experiences it. But I mentioned that housing is guaranteed for LLM students as long as they meet the application deadline, which is May 1st. And you can only apply for the housing after you're admitted, which is your incentive to get your applications in early. And I will let Diane describe it in more depth because she is living in housing right now.
And I could not be happier living in File Hall, which there's some pictures here that are pretty accurate. And as you can see from the bottom right view, these students are on a high enough floor where they have a nice view of the city. I myself am in an apartment where there's a little teeny tiny Statue of Liberty outside the window. Now she's only about 2 inches tall from where I can see her, but it's still pretty cool. And having visited her in person for the first time about a month ago was an amazing experience. So again, let me talk to you for a few minutes about this building. It is a less than a 5-minute walk from the law school. It is 3 city blocks away. And even though we're in the city, it's a pretty quiet street. When you come into File Hall, you also have a front desk. It's not like a fancy building with a doorman or anything like that, but with a front desk with folks who work for the law school and they're sort of security people there. You'll also see them at the law school sometimes at the front desk. They are a super friendly bunch of people. In the lobby, you'll also have a mailbox for your apartment, as well as a printer. If you don't happen to have a printer, you can come into the lobby and print things. There are a couple of really super social spaces. One is on the first floor, and you can just hang out in there and do work or have meetings. Sometimes there are events or yoga classes in there as well. And up on the top floor, there's also special occasion events to which law students are invited. There are faculty members, the dean, and students living in the building. And the apartments are not like small dormitory rooms. They're 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments. Some have multiple bathrooms. They all have a kitchen like this that has a fridge and a microwave, oven, dishwasher, and it's just a really super building to live in, and it is super convenient to public transportation and to walking around Brooklyn as well. And then this slide we can both talk about. This gives you an idea of the student organizations that you can get involved with here. And I'm not even sure that this has all of them. And you'll be able to have these slides accessible to you afterward. But as you can see, there are a million, maybe a million's a lot, but many, many, many student organizations. They have activities all the time to which you are genuinely invited to. And as you can see, there's probably ones where you sit there and think, wow, I know a lot about that. I'd love to be involved with that student organization. it's a great thing to do. And I think it helps connect our LLM and our JD students here, and you really get to know the area as well. We try and connect you with our alumni as well. We have alumni of the LLM program, as well as Brooklyn Law School alumni. And when you're in a law school that's been around for more than 100 years, there's plenty of alumni who stay in the New York area.
Point out some of the resources that are available to you as an LLM student. LLM students have a dedicated career development counselor. They can help you with not only your resume, but just strategizing, finding your work opportunities. Because one of the other things I should tell you, that this only applies to students on a student visa. You have the 1 year postgraduate to have work authorization, so they can help you plan out and find jobs that you want to apply for, so you have a strategy. And they also can help you with like mock interviews. So there's a lot. His name is Keith Dominguez, and you will meet him at orientation. But that's one thing. And then there's an academic success program that is available to all students at Brooklyn Law School. So if you're having any, they offer workshops throughout the year to help with things like learning how to outline cases and working on your legal writing, but also just you can get one-on-one counseling if you are experiencing any sort of academic struggles during your course of study. We also have an English as a second language specialist that is available to you to help you with language skills, whether it's like with class assignments or with communicating in class or one-on-one. So there are wellness programs, and Diane mentioned there's a yoga class, but there's also access to counseling services. There's programming throughout the year that's available to students. So just something to be aware of. And then if you are a student with any sort of disability, you can apply for accommodations, whether that be in the classroom or during exam periods or in housing, whatever accommodations you're in need of. You should be let us know what your needs are before school starts, so we can make arrangements to help you with that. And then of course academic advising, because as I said, you can do all the things, you just have to plan really well, and we can help you with that.
Right, and your professors will individually reach out to those of you in your particular class, and we'll reach out to the class and say, I have office hours at this time, or please reach out to me if you have a question about this assignment or about this type of reading, or if you're interested in going to this kind of working at this kind of organization. The faculty really likes to connect, and we really encourage you all to use this opportunity of being in New York to connect with alumni, to connect with folks in the legal community right next door to the law school and right across the bridge, and also internationally as well.
So this is how you can reach us by phone and email. We also have a general department email, which it's intlprograms.ed@brooklaw.edu. We will both get the message, and happy to respond to answer any additional questions you have. And then Gareth is going to let us know what other questions have come up.
And I was just going to add, and if you email us at some point, if you prefer that to the chat or whatever, and you email us anytime after this moment, we'll have those messages when we finish with our program today.
Excellent. Thank you, Diane and Felicia, there for your time. That's really engaging. It's also great to hear as well how involved a student can get when they're at the law school, and how accessible it is to go and speak to professors and go and speak to various people that have been in their position before, which is great. I've got a few questions that have come in before, and obviously I've got my own as well that I think we should go through. I want to start with really is obviously being New York based. How multicultural is the campus, and how multicultural of a place is it to live? Because there must be so many different nationalities. and different ideas and different feedback, different cultures, ways of living, it must make it such a fun place to study because of that, and welcoming as well, may I add. Felicia, can I start with you?
How to like it, I don't know, maybe because I'm here like every week, but like New York itself is a very diverse place, and Brooklyn, I think, equally so. So yeah, I think the school is very reflective of the city as a whole, in terms of diversity. So yeah, we talked about all those student organizations there are, but there's also like the community, like, because students are interested in like connecting with people based on their academic and legal interests, but there's also like the community as a whole. So there's all kinds of, I mean, there are people from all over. If you go on the subway, you're going to hear 5 different languages while you're standing on the platform. I mean, so, and there's also all kinds of cultural events going on all the time, both on campus and outside of campus. So yeah, I mean, I cannot like emphasize how diverse it is,
Yeah,
in so many ways.
And I think it's important to point out as well, a lot of people will see Brooklyn and they'll see, East Coast, New York, Northeast USA, and just associate it with high costs and a high cost of living. There are opportunities to live a little bit further away, isn't there? And it's very accessible. Brooklyn, it's very easy to live that little bit out of the way, not pay as much. Of course, if you want to live next to campus, it might cost you a bit more. If you want to roll out of bed as a student and be on ready for your next class, fair enough. But you can stay that bit further away and travel in and be in no time. Is that a fair assessment?
I think that's fair. So I can say I live in New Jersey, across the river in New Jersey. So there are opportunities that I can get the campus in 45 minutes. I know students who are living further out. I know that, yeah, I mean, so yeah, you do have to sort of do, like, first of all, I should say File Hall is below market rate. So don't count out campus housing. But in addition to File Hall, we do have some other buildings our housing director can point you to in terms of costs that may be like reasonable for students. But yeah, so if you go further out from the central Brooklyn or Manhattan, you just have to factor in transportation costs and time-wise, just the commute. But yes,
Okay.
there are other opportunities there.
Right, and you have to think about your other responsibilities. For example, if you're a student with children at home, or if you have other family responsibilities, or you are a part-time student and you are working during part of your degree time, you have to work that in. When I've looked at the schedules of our LLM students this year, and a number of them are taking courses from 4 to 6 in the afternoon and 6 to 8 at night. And some are taking them from 8:45 in the morning till 10 or so in the morning. And there's so much choice. And because we are a pretty decent sized school, we have so many course offerings. And so, as Felicia mentioned before, you get to see what the choices are. And you're not required to take all the courses first-year students are required to. So you have a lot of different opportunities over time, over different times to take them.
Excellent. And, I think that's so key to point out flexibility. Not everyone has that flexibility. Quite a lot of courses across the USA are quite rigid in terms of, when you've got to take it and when you've got to use it. Talk to me about the external opportunities, because obviously being based where you are, there's national corporations, global companies even. How can a student fit in with those global corporations when they study with you? Do you offer internships? Do you have partnerships with these types of businesses that, these global law firms that are situated on your doorstep?
Yeah, we do. And in fact, our professors who teach some of these courses are adjunct professors, not full-time, and they are working at these firms and these offices as well. And they might, if you show that you're skillful in class and you're comfortable speaking with them, they may say, yeah, I have some opportunities to connect you with. But as Felicia mentioned, we also have career services folks here who can connect you with those opportunities. And also, since you have to complete the 50 hours of of pro bono work, you have those as stepping stones into jobs as well. So we are in an area that has just as broad a set of opportunities as you could want to find in any metropolitan area. And there's legal opportunities in Brooklyn, not just Manhattan. There's opportunities throughout the boroughs of New York. And to your last question about where people live in the suburban counties, they live in Long Island, they live in New Jersey. They live where it's convenient to commute from, or, you know, what area they like most, and they work it around their time schedule.
Makes total sense. Can we talk about the personal statement aspect of it? So the most important thing I feel for a student when they're applying is scratching up their resume and making sure their personal statement is on point. What would you suggest, and what would Brooklyn Law School look for in a personal statement when they're deciding, yes, this student's for us? Is there any recommendations you can give to a student to enhance their chances of enrolling?
Sure. Clear writing is a sign of something that gives you strength as a law student. And some of your writing may be terrific already, and some of it might become more terrific as you move through the LLM program. It's important to take who you are and why you want to come here and translate that into your essay, because the essay is very, an pretty open topic. And to start with a catching statement that you're going to build on, whether it's, I wanted to be a lawyer ever since I played with bricks and someone knocked over my building and I wondered how I could have justice, or something, not, probably doesn't go that far back in your life, but something that moved you in your life or something that drew you to the law. And just make sure it's well written, make sure you proofread it. And also, I have to add, especially in these times, make sure you are the one who's writing it. We directly say in our application to not use any kind of AI and to not have someone else write for you. We want to see something that is you on paper. Does your writing have to be perfect? No, but it has to be original. And really think of a couple points that connect you to wanting to study the law, connect you wanting to study at Brooklyn, and write terrific paragraphs that connect all of that in your essay.
I think that's such an important point you make about AI, because it is very accessible and people might think, how will they ever know? Trust me, there's a way, even reading a resume, even reading a personal statement, you can get an idea and a feel of who that person is and their characteristics. So I would urge anyone that is watching, that is using, Chat GPT Go and other AI platforms, just stay clear of it. You're going to sell yourself, no one else. Talk about yourself in a way that no one else is going to be able to talk about yourself. So yeah, make the most of that, certainly. We better finish off, I suppose, with your intake dates, and when a student can apply, how they go about applying, and how easy that process is. Can you just talk me through that process, Felicia, if I talk to you there, and if you can just talk me through that process and how a student would then go on and apply?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, all applications must be submitted through LSAC, the Law School Admissions Council. So you're gonna create an account. You're going to there's some fees associated with it that, because you have that have to do with evaluating your transcripts to make sure that involve evaluating your transcripts, and then also submitting, if you're applying to multiple schools, like you'll indicate which schools you want to submit to. I'm losing my train of thought. So, so yes, you're gonna submit all of so with transcripts, you're gonna ask your school to submit those transcripts. They should come directly from the school, not from you. That's very important. The letters of recommendation, I think those letters can either be sealed and submitted, like sealed and given to you to submit, but they have to be like maybe Elsa can probably explain it more clearly, but again, you're going to submit all the application materials that we mentioned in our presentation are submitted through that system. Once we will see, like, as soon as you indicate that you're applying to Brooklyn Law School, we will see you there, but it will, if you haven't submitted everything, it will say incomplete and it will tell us what is still missing. Sometimes we will contact you directly and say, are you planning to submit whatever is missing? Once everything has been submitted, it will say it's ready to review. We will review it. If we feel we need to interview you to assess some language skills, we will do that. If you're requesting a waiver for the English proficiency, again, for admissions, it will be a letter via email. Again, and also any merit scholarships awarded will be in an admission letter. So yeah, the application process is opened as of September 1st, so you can start submitting at any time. If you have questions about the process, you can email us directly, or you can check on our website. We have a whole list of applications, the LLM application instructions. But again, you can contact, we're very responsive to direct emails. So.
And can I ask as well, just sorry to interrupt you there, can I ask as well, I think it's an important point to make. If students' English language isn't quite up to scratch, there's a lot of providers that, you know, will accept TOEFL and IELTS, TOEFL scores of 80 plus, IELTS of 6.5, most places. Do you offer an opportunity for students to increase and enhance their English language to help them meet the requirements? If they come to you, let's say just before your full recruitment 2024, and it's not up to scratch, is there anything that they can enroll on to improve that? And do you help them with that?
So we don't currently offer an English language program, but there are some available in the area. If you say want to do something in the summer before, or this semester, like in the spring, because you know that maybe your test scores are low, I encourage you to enroll in something like that. But we don't currently offer a program.
Excellent.
There's
Okay.
our two specialists who teach the legal English and research and writing for LLM students. They share the course and they take turns in teaching things. They have a number of connections, as well as our person who specializes in tutoring students. And as Felicia mentioned, there are some other law schools, including some in the New York area, that offer some summer courses or some remote courses in that. The other thing that we do sometimes too is we do Zoom interviews of applicants if we want to check out their ability to communicate verbally and ask them questions as well.
Yeah, and I think, look, the most important thing is your English, if you're watching, needs to be on point. It needs to be up to scratch, because ultimately there's two reasons for it. First of all, you're going into an English-speaking world, into the USA, even though there's different cultures, different languages and nationalities. But secondly, what you're going into, the LLM world, the law market, is predominantly English. So you're going to need to understand and learn the English language better than most. So my recommendation to anyone that's asking that question would be, find out more information about how you can get your English up to scratch. You know, everybody's on the same page. Everybody wants you to come on board. You know, Felicia, Diane watching today, they want you to come to Brooklyn. You want to come to Brooklyn. How can you enhance that, and how can you make yourself better? So there are plenty of options. And if anyone's interested, head over to llmstudy.com. We have got a dedicated section on it where you can find out some more information. Felicia, Diane, thank you for your time. It's been a fantastic and engaging session. We look forward to seeing it on demand. Everybody that's watching who hasn't caught all of the video or the session, this will be on demand. It will be sent to you in the coming weeks. And anybody that's missed a session as well that has registered will also be sent it as well. But for now, a huge thank you. And we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully in 2024 for a new semester. Thank you and take care. Bye-bye.